Now tonight, you guys can watch an ID channel special. Homicide hunters never give up. After decades on the job, Lieutenant Joe Kenda can remember 3 cases he was never able to close. They've been keeping him up at night for years, but with new DNA technology, he's retracing his steps. You can follow his journey to put these cases to bed in 3 theatrical length episodes on ID and streaming on Discovery Plus. I spoke to the lieutenant and the other day, and he tells me what is behind all these revisiting the homicides.
Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So it seems like with this series, Homicide Hunters Never Give Up, we're tying up a couple loose ends. Tell me what we're doing in this series.
In the first case, which premieres August 17th at 9 Eastern, it's the murder of Darlene Krashok, a 20-year-old active duty soldier who was raped and brutally murdered and dumped in an alley on St. Patrick's Day in 1987. After 32 years of investigation and advances in DNA technology, we were able to re-examine the evidence and identify the perpetrator. I testified against him last year in June in Colorado and was convicted of first-degree murder and first-degree sexual assault. He's serving life in prison. He was 24 when he killed that girl. And when he was sitting in that courtroom, I walked past him. He was 58 years old, and he looked rather bewildered.
Oh,
People must understand that the police have a policy: we don't forgive and we don't forget.
mm. Yes, that seems to be a very good policy in your line of work.
It is.
And I think it speaks volumes to the fact that you're coming back this many years later, and like you said, with the advanced technology, and technology seems to be growing each and every year. How do you know when it's the right time to revisit a case and think that you have the technology now that you need to really close that case tight and shut?
Technology and science it's a living, breathing thing, and it moves through different methods, and different tests become available. And when new tests become available, they send out a notice to the laboratories and say, hey, we've got a new thing now that we might be able to work this through genealogy, because you now have people who respond to these various firms that offer DNA analysis because of your curiosity. Am I Irish? Am I English? Am I whatever? That produces a database. In the fine print in those agreements, it says you are surrendering your Fourth Amendment rights. You are saying that your DNA profile becomes public record, and the police are part of the public. So we can mine that data, and with the new technology of genealogy cross-matching, we can find a family member, perhaps, of a perpetrator that otherwise is not in any other DNA index.
Wow.
And that's what was done in this case. We found a third cousin. Close enough, close enough.
Yeah.
And you begin to climb the family tree until we have a man sitting in a police car in handcuffs. It's a very interesting story.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000,000%. And I want you to tell us, how does it feel to be able to go back and, really finish that search that you started so many years ago? I know I had a chance to watch the first episode, and you say it never really sits right with you when you can't finish a case and close it, and kind of also, give family members that closure, and everyone involved in this case. How does that feel to be able to come back and really end it?
Well, it's euphoric. Unfortunately, you don't give anybody closure. The loss of a loved one is a hole in your heart that never heals. You at least provide them with what happened.
Yeah.
And you punish the person responsible, and he will die in a 6 by 9 foot concrete box where he belongs. So there's that. But also, it's gratifying to know During the course of an unsolved case, you always think, I always did, what question did I fail to ask? What did I fail to notice? What mistake did I make that resulted in us not resolving this? The Krashok case was over 2,000 pages long. The name of this perpetrator never appeared in any of those 2,000 pages. He was a ghost. Without DNA, we would have never found him, ever.
Hmm.
He was a complete stranger to the victim. A very difficult case when it's like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So technology is playing such a huge role in this. And you know, Joe, I just have to thank you for stopping by. This is so interesting, and I know even if we have some people out there who aren't really crime lovers and investigation lovers, this is definitely going to draw them in. If this doesn't do the trick, I don't know what will. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.